Welcome to Projects for All. My name's Mike, and today I have Sanyipace's brand new camera system to show you guys. This big one is brand new. It's on the website for about $2,600 with this locator. This little one here, we already have a video for. So if you're interested in something a little more economical, this is about $550. And you can go down in the description of this video and see the review for this camera system. Real quick, some general dimensions. You're about 26 inches long, just under 14 inches wide, and about 31 inches tall. So if you're gonna put this in a van or you're gonna carry this around with you in a truck, at least you know how big it is. This is all metal construction. You have just over 22 millimeter tubes here, just a little over 8 millimeters, about 5 3/4 on these little tires. The cable here is just a hair under 9 millimeters. It is pretty stiff cable, but it does release nice. This roller system is pretty nice. It has one bearing per roller. These rollers are plastic, but it also has this tire here, this rubber mounted tire on the sensor. So you get a reading for distance, but it's nice and smooth. It works very nice. Also on the back side here, it has a spool lock. So basically this thumb screw that pushes against this plate, it is not very secure, and I really don't like the idea of pushing on this plate and essentially you're bending this. I'm not a big fan of this design. Honestly, if I was going to use this in the field, I would probably go get myself just a Velcro strap and strap it right here. I mean, you could probably strap it on both sides, here and here, to secure the spool without really affecting anything. You could also maybe, when this is fully retracted, drill a hole in this plate so that this thumb screw will fit in a hole, and that'll make it real secure without distorting this frame at all. Even these wheels are bearing mounted. To me, that says a lot about the quality because they didn't have to use bearings on this. They could have just, friction mounted it. The spool is attached to the machine with the screw mount here, making this spool easily replaceable if you have to. Just a quick note, it sits nice and flat on these little feet right here. The tires are up off the floor and it's nice and secure. It really sits flat on these, but these are metal, and if you drag this thing across a finished floor, you will scratch the floor like I did in my house. So just be aware, if you get one of these, you can't drag it around unless you add some other kind of feet to it. The line here is very easy to pull out. It's smooth as butter. It goes in nice and easy. I like this design a lot. I like the plate. I like the bearings. It works very nice. The case here is mounted to the frame. You can see it's got a little bit of movement. There's a pin here. Pull the pin out and you can slide this forward and it comes right off of there. It does still have the mounting points on the bottom, so you got to be careful what you set it on if you're dragging it around. These are metal tabs that fit into the frame. There was a zip tie right here holding this cord. I removed it. I left the one right here. With this disconnected, I can set the spool on the ground, set this where I can see it. So let's have a look at our case. This is like the smaller model, probably just an off-the-shelf waterproof case, and it works perfectly for this. You have some information on the top here to get a hold of Sanyipace, QR codes, a website for support, which is nice, right on the machine. Flipping these up, there's something that happened that I wasn't expecting. When you open this, it tips back because it's top heavy. So we'll have to put something, you're gonna have to lean this up against something or put something behind it that can support it. And there we go. It has this metal sunshade, nice logo, flips up. Yeah, we'll gently pull our protective film off. One of the biggest differences between this, besides being seriously larger than the last one we did, it comes with a keyboard. This is a basic little keyboard. It plugs in right back here, but it looks like there's also a USB that says keyboard here. So if we need to, we could plug another keyboard into there if something happens to this one. This, it's got a nice metal plate, soft foam under here. It slots nicely into this space, so it's secure. So here's what comes with it. Obviously, your camera, LEDs, sapphire crystal. It's a very nice looking, the camera itself here looks and feels like nice quality. It is stainless steel, obviously, on a spring. There's your contacts. It's got an O-ring on the end here, fine threads. You also get a trolley for your camera installs. So if you're sending this down larger pipes, you can mount it to this. Here's your charger, 110, plugs in right back here. Flip this up, plug your charger in. It's got an LED on it to show you state of charge. It is backfeeding into the plug right now. Little rubber plug on that to keep it dry. Also comes with spare O-rings, spare springs, and a little screwdriver for the little nylon screws on this. This case really does need a kickstand to hold it up because it really does want to tip back, and it's a little slippery because it's just sitting on those brackets on the bottom. If you watched the first Sanyipace video with the smaller unit, this is going to look pretty familiar. The buttons are plastic. They have a couple less buttons up here, and now of course there's buttons here, and it's basically the same menu system, slightly refined, but I would like a few more revisions, and I'll show you. You get an unbranded 16 gig micro SD card. Clicks in, buttons, record, play, menu, exit, photo, zoom, and these are also your arrow buttons. They are inverted, so the right button is for left, the left button is for right, which takes a little getting used to. This is not your power button, this is the screen button. So pressing this turns the screen on and off. So if you don't need the screen on, you can turn it off without turning the whole machine off, which is nice. Down here you have the charger plug, and this has a little protective rubber plug on it. On and off is to power up the machine. You have clear, which is for your line out. So it'll measure line out. If you want to zero that or clear it for some reason, you can do that. Adjust the brightness of your LED on your camera. I'll show you that. You have a power light and another USB, full-size USB-A plug for a keyboard. So if the one that this is plugged into under here fails, you have a secondary option here, which is nice. I really like the finish on this. You get a speaker here. This is all metal. It's got a little finger hole slot right there, so you can lift this up. When you first start this up, it tends to flicker like that. The flickering slows down and eventually goes away. I don't know what the deal is with that. I covered the camera, so this would be a little easier to see. You have your timestamp, date and time down here. This will show up on video. Up here, you have your battery voltage. When it hits about 10.5, it's time to charge. I believe 11.9 is fully charged. We're pretty close. This is your line out value. You can change this to meters also. So these things will always show up on screen. Also, we can type on the screen. Now, this will stay here for the remainder of the video. So we can put a note on here. We can put an address for where we're taking this video, but the function of the keyboard here is fairly limited to just notes right here. Most of your needed controls, or I should say all your needed controls really, are here for your menu and everything. The keyboard is pretty limited to a little bit of that text, and a lot of these functions are also F key functions. So should you have a button fail or something, you have a level of redundancy here that's nice. This machine has 2 plugs for the keyboard, and you can use the F keys to brighten the LED, things like that. It gives you just an extra layer of reliability, I think is very nice, considering this is a budget machine and we don't know what its longevity is going to be. So here's the menu button, press it, menu pops up, you get time settings, playback function, display settings, video menu, system settings. To select something, and now we hit record. To select something, you got to be kind of quick because this will time out. Record gets you into your menu. You can hit exit to get back out. Playback function, Hit record. We got browse video, browse pictures, exit. Display, brightness, contrast, ratio, saturation, and chroma can be adjusted. Exit out of there. Video menu, circular recording. You can set a time for it, 5 minutes. You can add a time watermark. And then we have system setting. So screensaver time, on off, system language, one channel image. Yeah, see, I really wish they'd lengthen the time on that menu. SD card formatting, flip picture, restore default, sound settings, software version. It is a fairly basic menu system, but that's fine because it records video, plays it back, and you can get it off the SD card onto a computer, and that's all we really need a basic system like this to do. All right, so the camera shoots its best video probably about, that's maybe 3-4 inches. And you can see all the lines in my hand. You get good detail. All the way out to probably a foot, 1.5 feet is the sweet spot for this camera. It works fine. It is self-leveling, so if we shake the hell out of it, try and spin it around, it goes right back to upright. Self-leveling is, in my opinion, really a necessity for these because it gets disorientating to see exactly what you're looking at. So, very nice feature. It also has 512 hertz transmitting from the camera, so we can use the locator and find it. We're going to check that out once we get it in the ground. We'll go out in front of the house and we'll see how well this thing does. It has 5 LEDs, 5 settings for the LEDs. You hit F6, off clearly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The camera also has 5 times digital zoom. F5 turns off your on-screen display there. F7 to clear that. Bring it back to 0. Quick specs on this camera. Here's your model number. S830ASMKT. Here's some basic specs. 1080p. Built-in 512 hertz transmitter. Camera angle 145 degrees. 50 meters, 70 meters, or 100 meter options. Screen size 9 inches. LCD. Supports 128 gig card max. Languages. Video formats. You got JPEG for photos, which is great, but AVI for video is kind of an outdated format. I was hoping that they would switch it from this little one and they would update to the newer, something newer. MP4 would be nice. You got a 4500 milliamp hour battery, working time about 6 to 8 hours. Transmitter model S68R, that's a little easier to say. This is 512 hertz. About 5 meters or 16.5 foot range on this. We'll find out. Screen size 3.5 inches and about 6 hours to charge. Comes in this case. Basic case, but you know, comes in a case. Comes in 2 pieces. Fits together like so. Circular contacts. Fits together. Screw hole on the bottom, camera style screws, so toolless, just thumb screws. I mean, you can put a flathead or a Phillips on this, but you can just tighten it, flip it like so, and now it's together. Take our screen protector off. It's got a USB-C charger, earbuds if you want to use them, and an extra screw in case you lose the first one. Behind the cover here is where you plug in your earbuds and your charger. Same Sanyipace style sticker on it for support, QR codes, which is nice. This thing is very loud. So we can turn our sound off, which is what we're gonna do for this video. You have sensitivity, as far and 7 sensitivity settings for near. You have a brightness adjuster for your screen. Keep it on the lower one, it's a little easier to see and hear. We can turn our sound back on, or make it really loud and obnoxious. All right, get the camera right there, turned on. We got it set to number 1 near. I have the sound turned off because it is honestly pretty annoying, at least for the video. I mean, if you need to hear it, you're in a noisy place, then fine. But it really does have good sensitivity. There's full power. It's about 2.5 feet from the camera right now. If I turn it, it's catching it. But as I pull it away, look at that. Not bad. I mean, it's sensitive. Of course, it's not in a pipe. It's right there, but pretty good. Let's see, I'll switch it to, it's picking it up all the way back here, 100%. If I turn it, it's still picking it up. Turn the sensitivity down. Yeah, that's sweet. This works nice. At least here, standing in the garage, it works nice. Find out when it's in a pipe here in a minute. All right, so we'll feed it on down in there. I'm gonna get it just past the 90 here, and we're gonna give the locator a shot. No bars. Full bars. Because the camera's right here. It's in the pipe, but it's like right around the bend there. That 9mm cable is rated for a single 90 at 4 inches in the pipe. So I believe them when they say that. It was not easy to get it through that 190. It took a minute of jiggling it and pushing. I am going to edit out the grossest parts of this because we are in a sewer pipe and clearly there'll be some gross stuff, but we pushed through the muck here and I got to pull it back and feed it again. And I'm sure that that lens on that camera is pretty dirty, so I'm sure that's going to affect the quality of the video, but clearly you're in a sewer and it is what it is. We have a 20 feet out here. It's super easy to feed. That thick cable, it just works beautifully. I'm going to cycle through the LEDs here, see if I can get a little better picture, but clearly, obviously the brightest LED setting is the best. Heading through here, we had some bad roots in this pipe, and it was, I believe, about 40 feet. So we're going to come up to that in a second. There's still some roots in here, but it's a lot better. I had trouble getting through. In fact, I don't think I could get through in the first video, and there it is. So we might have to run the knife through here again just to clear some of that out. But at least I know what depth I'm supposed to be at, what distance that... Still feeding perfect. Very nice. 45 feet. We're about to hit 50, and that's going to be the end. We'll get some standing water here. We get into the water a little bit, pull it back. You can see the end there. There's a clean out in the parkway that we're going to see in a second here, and we'll go try and find it with the locator. So out in front of the house, there's the strongest signal I got so far. Three bars, but this is where the camera is. So you guys tell me what you think. This one, I think, did pretty awesome. I was able to find it about 30 feet from the house. The locator works great. They run about 2,600 with the locator for this one, the 50 meters. This one is 30 meters. It is not self-leveling. This is the more basic one, or I think it's about 550 right now. I saw on the website they have a unit just like this for a little bit more that is self-leveling, and you can get it with the locator. I think that was about $1,000. So your opinion matters more than mine does. I'm impressed. For a budget basic unit that does what it says it's gonna do, I'm impressed. You could spend 4 times this for a rigid setup or Milwaukee, and those are awesome. But they are 4 times the cost of this. You know, if you have a bunch of apartment buildings, it might make sense for $2,600 to get something like this to use just for yourself, handyman service, building inspections, things like that. I'll put links for both of these units down in the description. You can check this stuff out for yourself. I'll put a link to this website, Sanyipace's website also. I really appreciate you watching the video, and your opinion matters, so go drop it down in the comments and let me know what you think about these. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.